The Lord be with you.
And with your
A
spirit.
reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, Lord.
Jesus told his disciples this parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out at dawn to hire laborers for his vineyard. After agreeing with them for the usual daily wage, he sent them into his vineyard. Going out about 9 o'clock, he saw others standing idle in the marketplace. And he said to them, "You too, go into my vineyard, and I will give you what is just." So they went off. And he went out again around noon and around 3 o'clock and did likewise. Going out about 5 o'clock, he found others standing around and said to them, "Why do you stand here idle all day?" They answered, "Because no one has hired us." He said to them, "You too, go into my vineyard." When it was evening, the owner of the vineyard said to his foreman, "Summon the laborers and give them their pay, beginning with the last and ending with the first." When those who had started about 5 o'clock came, each received the usual daily wage. But when the first came, they thought they would receive more, because each of them also got the usual wage. And on receiving it, they grumbled against the landowner, saying, "These last ones worked only 1 hour, and yet you have made them equal to us who bore the day's burden and the heat." He said to one of them in reply, "My friend, I am not cheating you. Did you not agree with me for the usual daily wage? Take what is yours and go. What if I wish to give this last one the same as you? Or am I not free to do as I wish with my own money? Are you envious because I am generous?" Thus the last will be first, and the first will be last. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
At first glance, this Gospel may not seem to have much to do with the Queenship of Mary, and yet I think the Queenship of Mary has everything to do with this particular Gospel. Because, well, it's a challenge. It's difficult to translate the concept of queenship into an idea that is, or a reality really, that is relevant today, that people can really understand and identify with. I think it does have to boil down to service. The kind of service, a particular kind of service that Mary engaged in, that Mary consented to when she gave her consent to the angel to be the instrument of God's salvation for the world. And that particular kind of service is not one that is done out of a sense of superiority and largesse, handing out good things that people need. It rather is a service that is centered on the well-being of the other. And I think that's what the landowner was calling his laborers, to kind of take on his own attitude that the important thing in all of this labor and employment is the well-being of your fellow laborers, your fellow workers. And so rather than grumble and resent, you not only should, you must rejoice in the fact that your fellow laborers are also being taken care of, even if they did not have the same work and even the same advantage as you. You must rejoice in their well-being. And I think that sums up Mary's commitment, that she is motivated out of rejoicing in our well-being, and the well-being of all of God's children who are also her children. She rejoices in our well-being and calls us to rejoice in the well-being of our brothers and sisters.